Dear students, in my previous episode, I have discussed about the distribution and utilization of water. In today's episode, let me explain about the economic and environmental significance and conservation of water. The episode is planned and consists of following submodules. 1. Significance of water. 2. Environmental significance. 3. Economic significance. 4. Necessities of water for survival. 5th. Conservation of freshwater resources. Economic and environmental significance and conservation of water can be very well explained by explaining the significance of water. This natural resource is becoming scarcer in certain places and its availability is a major social and economic concern. Currently, about 1 billion people around the world routinely drink unhealthy water. Most countries accepted the goal of having access to safe water by 2015. The number of people worldwide who do not have that basic facility and sanitation during the year 2030. Even if this difficult goal is met, it will still leave more than an estimated 500 million people without access to safe drinking water and over 1 billion without access to adequate sanitation. Poor water quality and bad sanitation are deadly. Some 5 million deaths a year are caused by polluted drinking water. The World Health Organization estimates that safe water could prevent 1.4 million child deaths from diarrhea each year. Water, however, is not a finite resource but rather recirculated as potable water in precipitation in quantities many degrees of magnitude higher than human consumption. Therefore, it is the relatively small quantity of water in reserve in the earth, about only 1% our drinking water supply, which is replenished in aquifer around every 1 to 10 years, that is a renewable resources, and it is rather the distribution of potable and irrigation water which is scarce rather than the actual amount of it that exists on the earth. In the developing world, 90% of all wastewater still goes untreated into local rivers and streams. Some 50 countries with roughly a third of the world's population also suffer from medium or high water stress, and 17 of these extract more water annually than is recharged through their natural water cycles. The strain not only affects surface freshwater bodies like rivers and lakes, but it also degrades groundwater resources. Following are some of the uses of water which shows its significance. From a biological standpoint, water has many distinct properties that are critical for the proliferation of life that set it apart from other substances. It carries out this role by allowing organic compounds to react in ways that ultimately allow replications. All known forms of life depend on water. Water is vital both as a solvent in which many of the body's solutes dissolve and as an essential part of many metabolic processes within the body. Water is thus essential and central to these metabolic processes. Water is also central to photosynthesis and respiration. Water is also central to acid-base neutrality and enzyme function. Civilization has historically flourished around rivers and major waterways. The most important use of water in agriculture is for irrigation. To function properly, the body requires between 1 and 7 liters of water per day to avoid dehydration. Water fit for human consumption is called drinking water or potable water. Humans use water for many recreational purposes as well as for exercising and for sports. Water is used in power generation, Hydroelectricity is the electricity obtained from hydropower. Pressurized water is used in water blasting and water jet cutters. Also, very high pressure water guns are used for precise cutting. Water is also used for cooking and dishwashing. It is the source of aquatic animals and coral reefs. Navigation and water transportations are the cheapest source of communication networks. Let us discuss the environmental significance. Water has been recognized as a key natural resource. From amongst different natural resources, water has been recognized as the key environmental resource for social security, economic growth, and prosperity. Human security can therefore be seen to be related to environmental preservation and to socio-economic stability and sustainable development. Water is an important component of the environment. Water heads the environmental agenda because its absence has direct consequences on health and life. The natural and man-made environment has increased the significance of water. Geographical, agricultural, political, economic, and social issues combine to call up the spectra of an impending water crisis. First, geography provides an immensely unequal distribution of precipitation and open water. Iceland has 2 million liters of water for every inhabitant daily, whereas each Kuwait has to make do with 30 liters. Deserts and arid land expanses hold little water. Second, agriculture and food security requires water. Agriculture accounts for about 70% of total water consumed by human beings. Even though daily water intake averages 4 liters per person, 20,000 liters of water is required to produce his or her daily food. Third, the growth of urban population worldwide has resulted in massive changes in demand for water and other facilities. Fourth, the simultaneous regional scarcity and oversupply of water have links to global warming, greenhouse gases, and climate change. Climate and weather are no longer natural process. The combination of motor vehicles, 850 million cars worldwide in 2006, and industrialization, urban concentration, deforestation, agricultural activities, and fossil fuel usage has contributed to the rise of carbon dioxide over the last century, which has direct influence on water. People can no longer discount the human impact on the environment with the exponential population growth and more than 6 billion in the present century. In this unequal world, economics determines who can afford the luxury of liberal water use. Water sources in environment has shown in the table. Despite increase in irrigation in rural areas, population tends to increase faster than the food supply. Water shortages resulted in more than 21% fall in food production. Like all issues that confront and challenge humanity, the global community needs to combine political, economic, cultural, and social initiatives to manage water scarcity and deal with the growing water crisis. One cannot isolate water from other environmental issues or separate it from the web of human activity. The economic significance of water. Water bodies are used as receptors for waste discharge from point and non-point sources of pollution. Water quality degradation can pose serious threats to public health, agricultural and industrial production, ecological functions, and biodiversity. Aquatic ecosystems provide habitats for the fauna and flora. The aquatic ecosystem is a water-dependent sector just like agriculture, energy, and domestic and industrial water supply. the design and operation of infrastructure for water supply, irrigation, hydropower and flood control impacts upstreams and downstream ecosystems and communities that depend on them. Good environmental management is central to good practice water resource management. This includes maintaining environmental flows, drainage, municipal and industrial wastewater treatment, pollution control, protection of lake basin, watersheds, aquifers, wetlands and control of invasive weeds. Climate change will have a profound impact on water resources due to changes in rainfall, glacier melt, runoff, coastal groundwater and water quality. This will have major effect on the sector that depend on water resources including urban and rural water supply, agriculture, energy, industries, mining, livestock, fisheries and the environment. Population continues to grow and urban population doubles. The quantity and the quality of water changes. Rural water stress and poverty increases. Economy will under structural pressures. Regional integration will be still low and climate change may decrease reliability of water availability. According to recent estimate, about 3,500 cubic kilometers of water are drawn from human use every year. Agriculture sector is the biggest consumer of fresh water. Almost 76% of the total water used by mankind has to be diverted to grown food. Following agriculture, power generation 6.2% and industries 5.7% are the biggest consumer of the fresh water. Domestic requirements and livestock management taken together consume only 4.3% of the total water drawn. Navigation, fisheries, hydroelectric power generation, recreational activities, etc. also require a huge quantity of water, much of which flows down to the sea. Sustainable development requires maintaining the stability, health and productivity of water resources. Water resources comprising rivers, lakes, groundwater and wetlands are essential for the livelihood of people, the growth of economy and the sustenance and health of all species. Fresh water also sustains the integrity of ecosystem. People depend on the hydrological functions of ecosystems. Growing demands for water threaten many lakes, rivers, estuaries and groundwater bodies around the world. The poor often are impacted as they depend more directly on ecosystem functions than the rich. Influence of water on mankind. Effects on human civilization. Civilization has historically flourished around rivers and major waterways. Health and pollution. Water fit for human consumption is called drinking water or potable water. Water that is not potable can be made potable by filtration or heating it until it becomes water vapor and then capturing the vapor without any of the impurities it leaves behind, or by other methods, that is chemical or heat treatment that kills bacteria. Water that is not fit for drinking but is not harmful for humans when used for swimming or bathing is called by various names other than potable or drinking water. Necessity of water for survival. Human uses. The most important use of water in agriculture is for irrigation, which is a key component to produce enough food. Irrigation takes up to 90% of water withdrawn in some developing countries and significant portion is more economically developed in countries like United States. For drinking water, the human body is anywhere from 55% to 78% water depending on body size. To function properly, the body requires between 1 and 7 liters of water per day to avoid dehydration. Hygiene. The ability of water to make solution and emulsion is used for washing. Many industrial processes rely on reactions using chemical dissolved water, suspension of solids in slurries, or using water to dissolve and extract substances. Recreation is an important sports activities in recent years. Water industries. The water industries provides drinking water and wastewater services. Industrial applications. Water is used in power generation. Hydroelectricity is obtained from hydropower. The energy is supplied by the sun. Heat from the sun evaporates water, which condenses as rain in higher altitudes from where it flows down. Conservation of freshwater resources. There are several methods to conserve the water resources. 1. Reuse and recycling. The second, reduction of pollution and recycling of water. Third, enhancement of surface storage capacity. Fourth, improvement of underground storage capacity. Fifth, augmentation of existing supplies of fresh water. Let me sum up the entire episode like this. Managing water as an economic good entails that water can be allocated across competing uses in a way that maximizes the net benefit from the amount of water in question. Practically, the increasing financial burden on users to pay for clean water has social and political implications. The total quantity of water available at a given time is an important consideration. I would like to highlight the value of usable water to future generations. The value of water particular uses depends crucially on its location, quality and timing. Its location determines its accessibility and costs. Its quality affects whether it can be used and what treatment cost it will require. The time when it is available governs its reliability and its relative value for power, irrigation, environment or potable uses. Let me explain in detail how to conserve the freshwater resources. Reuse and recycling. For almost all spheres of human activity till date, more water is drawn than the amount actually needed. Much of the surplus water is returned to surface flow in an impure state. A little care can reduce the overconsumption. Second, reduction of pollution and recycling of water. Pollution spoils huge quantities of our surface water. All possible efforts should be undertaken to divert wastewater to some treatment plant instead of releasing them into our surface waters, while treated water can be safely discharged in our aquatic system. It may also be recycled where there is more pressing need. The third important measure is enhancement of surface storage capacity. About 27,000 cubic kilometers of fresh water which rush down to the oceans through streams and rivers of the world as flood flow are of no use to the mankind. We can store this water in tanks and reservoirs for use during drier seasons. The next important conservation method is improvement of underground storage capacity. An enormous amount of fresh water is stored in underground deposits. It represents accumulation over a long period of time. Every year, about 10 to 15% of total precipitation enters the groundwater table. We can improve the groundwater storage capacity of the Earth's crust by providing an effective plant cover over the soil surface. Plants obtain most of their water from soil moisture and keep the surroundings cool and humid, thereby preventing excessive loss of water through evaporation. The last one, augmentation of existing supplies of fresh water. The first one is desalinations of seawater, second is artificial rain making. In general, only 20 to 30% of the moisture content of the atmosphere over a locality precipitates as snow or rains. Artificial rain making can be benefited to conserve the water. Water matters because without it, all life on this planet will perish. In many cultures and religions, water holds sacred significance in terms of its curative powers, cleaning functions, mystical qualities, and purifying virtues. The importance of water for good health, fertility, and fortune in the orientation of homes, business, temples, and cities. To sum up, in this episode, we have covered the significance of water, its environmental significance, economic significance, necessities, and conservation of freshwater resources. Thank you.